KC do to stop this man from wrecking the repeat?
We still ain't played our best yet. Nope.
This is your Super Bowl headquarters. This is NFL Total Access. Welcome to NFL Total Access. I'm your host, MJ Acosta-Ruiz. Go ahead and check your countdown clock. 12 days until Super Bowl 55. We're paving the road to Tampa for you, along with D'Angelo Hall, Michael Robinson, and Coach Brian Billick. Plenty ahead on the Chiefs and the Bucs, but first, new comments from Aaron Rodgers about his future.
Now, obviously, after the season that I had and, potentially win an MVP, and, we obviously made it another good run, I don't think that there's any reason why I wouldn't be back. But look, I think there's not many absolutes, as you guys know, in this business. So to make an absolute statement about something that is not an absolute, just I didn't do it, and I guess that's why I went kind of nuts.
Does Aaron feel as if he is the piece the Green Bay Packers are, like that's the that's going to come from that statement, Well,
I don't. And frankly, Pat, you know me and Adrian. Yep. I don't give about that.
All right, let's welcome in Mike Garafolo. Mike, Aaron Rodgers as relaxed as always, but being a bit obtuse in that interview. What are you hearing about Rodgers and his future in Green Bay?
Well, MJ, what you've got here is Aaron Rodgers after the game talking about an uncertain future, and a lot of folks looking at that and saying, is that his way of saying that he wants out? But in today's interview, he kind of made it clear that he was more or less looking at the situation with the Packers, and a lot of guys have uncertain futures, and it was right after a disappointing game, so he almost alluded to the fact that he's realizing now basically his mortality in the NFL and realizing that it happens to everybody. No one beats Father Time. So that's what you've got from Rodgers. You've got the Packers that we are hearing want him back. So there's no indication that these sides are going to be splitting up in 2021. It was just more frustration, and Rodgers again realizing that Father Time comes for everybody at some point.
Mike, listen, the tea is hot when it comes to this. So I want to add in Michael Robinson, D'Angelo Hall, and Coach Brian Billick to the conversation here. But Mike G, is the concern about Rodgers' future impacting the locker room at all?
Well, we had this discussion on Good Morning Football this morning, and my thing was Rodgers has always been the guy that players have looked to set the tone. Remember RELAX a couple of years ago when the team started off not so hot, and all of a sudden they turned it on, and everybody pointed to that speech and said that was the turning point of the season where a lot of guys said, oh, okay, if he's confident, then the rest of us are going to be confident. Well, this was not real confidence. This was actually a bit of worry from the part of Aaron Rodgers. So I'll ask you, Mike Rob, what are your thoughts if you're a player in the locker room and all of a sudden you see Aaron Rodgers questioning how much longer he is for the starting quarterback job of the Packers, again, knowing that Jordan Love is there and was drafted in the first round?
Yeah, look, I can't imagine the Green Bay Packers allowing Aaron Rodgers to walk up out of that building after this season, okay? He had a great MVP-like season. But, as you guys know, I got a but there. But what's the point in having an MVP season if you get to the NFC Championship game and play like Aaron Rodgers played this past weekend? I'm sorry, I love Aaron Rodgers. I'm a fan of Aaron Rodgers. All of you guys know I constantly sing Aaron Rodgers' praises. I predicted he would probably win the MVP back in August. But when you have nothing but green grass in front of you, you're inside the red zone, and you can run for a touchdown. We've seen you do things like that before. You miss passes that we routinely see you hit in the most important game of the season. And I didn't know this until our researcher Kyle conveniently sent a great email before the show. Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback in NFL history to lose 4 straight consecutive, whatever you want to say, NFC or conference championship games. And that tells me that, yeah, we pay our quarterback to be great, but he just hasn't been great in the biggest moments. So I'm not going to lie. I need to see more out of Aaron Rodgers. Yes, Matt LaFleur has something in this, too, for this loss. But, Aaron Rodgers, I'm sorry, man. You talk all that stuff all week and all year. I need to see you in the biggest moments in the biggest game.
But, M-Rob, isn't this more of an indictment on Green Bay? Just think about how how more explosive this offense is if that number one pick is spent on a receiver. If this number one pick is spent on another guy to block for Aaron Rodgers. You saw how Tampa Bay was able to get all that pressure on him. And so, I think the clock is ticking on Aaron Rodgers. At some point, Jordan Love is the guy. And so you hear Aaron Rodgers say some of those comments like, yes, nothing is for certain, because he understands that they've already drafted his replacement. We knew Aaron Rodgers was great. He didn't need to go out and get this MVP this season for him to tell me he was great. We already knew that. Yet, the Green Bay Packers still decided to go and spend a valuable first-round draft pick on Jordan Love. And now we're saying because Aaron Rodgers had an MVP season that Jordan Love's not going to play next year either.
And they won 13 games.
To me, it's just a waste of draft capital.
All right, great points there from D'Angelo Hall, looking like the chairman of the board in that setup he's got tonight. Let's go now to Brian Billick, the coach. And Coach Billick, put yourself in Matt LaFleur's shoes, and he's already kind of addressed it and indicated that the team wants Rodgers back. How do you now handle this situation, knowing that it just took a little bit for folks starting to read into this one?
No, I think this is much ado about nothing. I don't think you can take anything that anybody says 48 hours after a gut-wrenching loss like that. It's emotional. Things are said. They're misconstrued. They're spun out of control. There's no way. Aaron Rodgers, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's not going anywhere. And let's spin it forward. Where would he go? He's not going to go in the AFC because you got to go through Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo to get to the championship. Where in the NFC? I think my guess is that they and maybe Tampa Bay, if Tom comes back, are going to be the top seeds in the NFC. He wants to win. If he wants to continue to play, and no indication he doesn't, what better place than Green Bay? They've got a good offense. He was as comfortable and as happy as we've seen Aaron Rodgers in years. They got to get better defensively. They've got to address those things and not waste a pick on a quarterback. I get that, but that might just be a little temper tantrum. That's okay. Let's go get the defense better and let's go do this again.
Games in 2 years.
I hear you, Mike Robb. Great points, Coach, and some talk that Rodgers may have wanted a contract extension. No indication from his interview today that that's part of it. 3 years left on his deal. Tough to do an extension for him at this point anyway. MJ?
All right, Mike G and all the guys, the main point here is that the interesting part of those two interviews, post-game and then what we saw on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers there sort of downplaying again in that second interview the speculation from the first. So there's still a long road to go here. And trust me, we have plenty of time to get into it. Mike G, guys, thanks. Hold on just a little bit. We'll have a ton more. The Chiefs and Bucs have 2 weeks to get several key players healthy. Wide receivers Antonio Brown and Sammy Watkins, plus running backs Le'Veon Bell are expected to be game ready. Mike Garafolo says safety Jordan Whitehead's status is day-to-day with a shoulder injury. The quarterbacks for Super Bowl 55 are the focus of tonight's Next Gen Stats powered by AWS. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have polar opposite QB tendencies when it comes to throwing on the run and from inside the tackle box. Mahomes has attempted 23.3% of passes on the run this season. That's second highest in the league, while Brady has attempted just 3.1% of passes on the run, which is last in the NFL. M-Rob and D-Hall, come on in here. These are two cheat code quarterbacks, basically, but with two very, very different styles. So, D-Hall, I'm going to pose this question to you first. Tom Brady in 2020, is he good enough to outplay Patrick Mahomes and what we've seen from him so far?
Oh, man, I'm one of those guys who will forever bow down to Tom Brady as being the GOAT. There is no doubt about that. I don't think anybody can question that. But can he keep up with Patrick Mahomes? I don't think so. I think Tom Brady, at this point in his career, he's a complimentary piece. And I know everybody's saying, how's he a complimentary piece? He's the engine that keeps that offense going. When you see Tom come out and make some of these throws he made there, just a desperation heave, it's just not Tom Brady-esque like. And so to me, the main focal point of this Tampa Bay team, and I'm talking about the team, it is the defense. If it wasn't for that defense, you see another interception that Tom Brady throws high, constantly kept Green Bay in the ball game. And so if it wasn't for that dominating defense, Tampa wouldn't have stood a chance. And so to me, Tom Brady is just a complimentary piece at this point in his career.
I couldn't have said it better myself, D-Hall. Yes, Tom Brady is a complimentary piece, and it feels weird to say that about possibly the greatest quarterback that our game has ever seen. But I'm not going to say that Tom Brady can outduel or outmatch Patrick Mahomes. No. And that graphic, that MJ that you described, where Tom Brady was pretty much last in every category, and Patrick Mahomes is almost first or the top 3 in every category. That's because that chart was all about movement. Tom Brady ain't moving nowhere, okay? So we already knew that about Tom Brady. But one thing Tom Brady can do, Tom Brady can bring out the best in everybody around him. He can give confidence to that offensive line. He can check to a run when they should check to a run. He can be on the sideline and inject confidence into that already dominating defense. So to your point, D-Hall, of course Tom Brady is a complimentary piece. Hell, Drew Brees has been a complimentary piece for the last few years in New Orleans. It's nothing wrong with that, but in the biggest moments, when the game is on the line, Tom Brady always makes the right decision. So, no, I don't think Tom Brady can outduel Patrick Mahomes, but I do think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can outduel the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, okay, bringing it out to the bigger picture. I'm glad you said that, too, because the first time I heard complimentary, I was like, wait a second, what? But I hear you. I get y'all. All right, guys, thanks. 2 days after losing to the Chiefs, Bills head coach Sean McDermott says his team will be stronger from that championship game experience. Take a listen.
There is still a gap in terms of where we are and where they are. And it's just not one answer as to that solves that problem. A lot of our players have never been in a game of that magnitude on that stage, and I'm confident that we will learn from that experience. Those players in particular will learn that had never been in that situation, and we as an organization, I think, learned a lot by going through the week we just went through.
As for our Super Bowl coverage, we're kicking off the week's festivities Monday with Super Bowl opening night. You'll hear from Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and all the game's biggest stars Monday at 8 Eastern. But our coverage begins on NFL Total Access at 7 p.m. Eastern. And before opening night, it's the Reese's Senior Bowl. The teams practiced today in Mobile. Heisman winner Alabama wide receiver Devontae Smith was in town meeting with coaches and teams, but it was 3 other wide receivers that grabbed the attention of Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. More on that in our exclusive Senior Bowl report later on in the show. There are 3 receivers in the first 10 of DJ's top 50 prospects. Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence is first, and his top defensive prospect is Caleb Farley, a cornerback from Virginia Tech. See the full list at NFL.com/top50. And it's official. Jennifer King is the first full-time black female assistant position coach in NFL history. The Washington football team announced King will serve as assistant running backs coach. The announcement marks a meteoric rise for King, who spent 2020 as a coaching intern in Washington, mostly reporting to running backs coach Randy Jordan. Congrats. Still to come on NFL Total Access, is Bruce Arians psyched about going to the Super Bowl?
Well, holding this amazing.
Yes, he is. Is he psyched about going against the Chiefs offense?
They need help.
No, he's not. But in this league, you can't choose your challenge. You can only meet your challenge. How that's done is still to come.
Stay tuned.
But first, was DK Metcalf catching Buda Baker
How'd he catch my
better than Tyreek Hill catching this?
Oh, my goodness.
Superstars going head-to-head, innovative highlight battles. The Pro Bowl meets versus next on NFL Total Access.
NFL 60.
Robert DeVois will take up a seat on Florida's death row.
Overcoming the unimaginable and living life to the fullest. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers rally around an innocent man trying to rebuild his once shattered life.
Robert was in there for 37 years. It's unbelievable to me. We needed to do something to kind of help him get back on his feet.
And Saints legend Steve Gleason turns a deadly illness into a movement and hope for thousands.
Without a cure for ALS, technology could be that cure. And from that point on, he started pushing the envelope of what was possible.
This is bigger than football. This is NFL 360.
A full week of NFL Pro Bowl versus battles kick off tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Twitter and versus online. Tonight's battle features A.J. Brown versus Justin Jefferson. Maurice Jones-Drew and myself will be hosting throughout the week. Earlier this week, I caught up with music royalty and the masterminds behind Versus, Timbaland and Swiss Beats, for more on this collaboration. Let's give a big Total Access welcome to two of the most epic producers on earth. This is music royalty in the house and the men behind Versus TV. Timbaland and Swiss Beats are, like, for everyone at home, just so you know, I may be acting real cool, but I am geeking out at the moment. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Now, the Versus battles are a staple at this point, a cultural celebration, especially through these pandemic times. But now it only makes sense that it's intersecting with the NFL in the most important time of the football year. Tim, I'll start with you. How did this collaboration come together?
We always had big plans for Versus, and we always had like Versus sports and a lot of Versus comedy, a lot of we wanted to take Versus, you know, more than just music. And it was so ironic that the NFL, you know, reached out. It was perfect timing at the time when they reached out, because we was already planning Versus sports anyway. So it was perfect.
So it's a perfect synergy alignment. This is how it works. And Swiss, I'll go with you here. The music battles are a showcase of the artist's greatest hits, if you will. But now we have players that they're going head to head with their top plays. So as a master of the battle here, I want you guys to tell me how you would guide the players so we know that they're coming correct for this Versus battle.
Well, always start off with your best foot and make sure your energy is good and come to win. Although it's a celebration, what we do at Versus is an educational celebration, which is an educational music celebration. And this event is going to be an amazing sports celebration, big time.
I love that. And listen, the response on social media to this collab to NFL and Versus has been off the charts, particularly because, you know, the fans are used to seeing these offensive, defensive battles, their favorite players going head to head. But perhaps for those who aren't as familiar with what Versus is, Tim, how would you describe the essence of the battle?
The essence of the battle is like, it's like two people. You really get to see the two people converse and have fun and really talk about their plays instead of hearing the commentator talk about their plays. You get to hear the players talk about their plays, because when did you really hear, you know, two people just celebrate each other? So I think that's going to be the beauty about this.
I love that.
And it is the beauty of it.
And when you talk about point of view, they're there. They're in it. They are the battle. They are the highlight. Oh, I love that. This last question is for both of you. And Swiss, I'll have you start us off here. Just as hip-hop has influenced sports, sports has also influenced hip-hop. So this culture, it really resonates, especially directly with our players. How do you think this will really impact the fans, both of the music and of the game?
Well, I think at a time that we're in right now, we need as much creativity as possible. And for the fans to be able to see this collaboration come together, I think that it's going to give positive energy, and it's going to help so many people think outside of the box and making creative ways happen in a time where the world is going through real pain. We're figuring out ways to bring real joy.
I love that. What about for you, Tim?
He kind of said the last statement is it's a way that to bring joy at a time where there's a lot of pain. And I feel like that's what Versus is. Versus is a place of joy. It's a pure place of love. And you find out things that you didn't even know about yourself through Versus. You'd be like, you know, you just get more engaged with what's going on. That's what Versus brings. It brings a love and a joy.
See, just because there's competition doesn't mean it can't be built on joy and love. I love this so much. Swiss Beats, Timbaland joining us today. Versus will be going on Tuesday through Friday. You can catch it on NFL social media, of course, on Versus TV, Instagram as well. I will be hosting two of the battles. Cannot wait to get in there, of course, with some of your favorite Pro Bowl players. Make sure you tune in. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us and for spreading the love that is Versus.
Thank you. Thank you. Versus, Pro Bowl.
Will Carson Wentz be back in an Eagles uniform? Will Deshaun Watson be back in a Texans uniform? After the break, why the answer to those questions can be found in the answer to another question. How much leverage do NFL quarterbacks?
February 2nd at 8 on NFL Network.
All right, you got to take it to social and show off the swag. Leonard Fournette posting this, apparently capping off the postseason with a new hat here. Playoff Lenny he's definitely ready for Super Bowl 55.
Mahomes wants the long ball downfield. It's a caught ball by Tyreek Hill. Touchdown, Kansas City Chiefs. Downfield toward Hill. Makes the catch at the 15, to the 10. Zigzags his way into the end zone. And Hill does a flip, a reverse somersault.
Going to Ronald Jones. High stepping it down the sideline. Touchdown.
Mahomes goes toward the end zone. The caught ball. Touchdown. Kansas City Chiefs. My goodness.
Help is on the way.
Brady takes the snap, drops, looks, throws the ball down the far sideline. It is intercepted, picked off at the 10-yard line.
The pupil is turning into the teacher.
Left ourselves a big deficit to start. Going to get back to work and try to do a lot better job the last quarter of the season.
We played well enough to win. That's the great thing about football and the NFL is you build and try to execute and be the best at the end of the season.
Let's welcome in our analytics expert, Cynthia Freeland, and our Super Bowl winning coach, Ryan Billick. Now, Coach, I want to start with you here because we know Bruce Arians more than ready for this challenge. He knows how good this opposing team is. But what adjustments do the Bucs need to make to really go up against the Chiefs the best way they can?
Well, when they played before, everybody's saying, well, what did they take away in terms of what can they do this next game? Sometimes it's just as important to know what you can't do. And what they can't do is play man coverage, okay? You saw that in the first half. Tyreek Hill went absolutely off. 269 yards total, 200. And here's why. The minute Patrick Mahomes sees this one-on-one coverage, he sees bump across the board. He recognizes there could be five-man pressure and a free safety in the middle of the field. He immediately puts the ball up because he knows he wins that matchup. Carlton Davis has no chance. Here again, looks kind of like two. Okay, I get it. I'm going to do my reads, but I'm going to keep an eye on it because I know Tyreek Hill, I've got him. We've seen this 1,000 times with this crossing route. The minute they came out of two, they came down to cover one. Free safeties in the middle of the field, he's useless. Carlton Davis cannot keep up with Tyreek. You don't have anybody that can keep up with Tyreek Hill. Now, same thing here. Look what happens. Okay, are they going to jump down into single high? I'm going to keep an eye. No, they stay in too deep. They buzz the linebacker out to Tyreek Hill. Now, they complete the pass, but Tampa Bay, who very well against Green Bay, rallied up and tackled the ball. Yeah, they moved the ball, and yeah, they caught the ball, but it wasn't a 70-yard touchdown, a 60-yard touchdown like they had. Let's remember, they converted to a little bit more zone coverage, didn't give up the big play. They lost by 3 points once they made the adjustment. It's unfathomable to me that Todd Bowles would come out and play any form or substantial amount of man against Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I'd rather lose 70-0 than give up a big play.
It's funny that you talk about losing 70-0, give up those big plays, because Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill have been pretty interchangeable in the slot. Up until last week when we saw even more man than what we saw with the Bills, where, by the way, the Bills gave a ton of cushion, meaning more than 5 yards of space. That was an interesting problem because both Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce then went off. Now, when you look to see where Tyreek Hill has been especially effective, it's been out of the slot. And so that will be interesting to see how Todd Bowles does defend this. You're right, last time it did not work out so well. They exploited those man-to-man situations, but when it comes down to it, then what? Then it becomes Travis Kelce?
All right, Cynthia, let's look at the other side here. So what do the Chiefs have to do to repeat and get another win in the biggest stage of the year?
Well, when you miss your left tackle, when Eric Fisher's gone, they're going to have to make adjustments, because if you saw what happened last week, Todd Bowles dialed up the pressure. Of course, the Packers, they were missing their left tackle too. So what you saw was JPP just go out there and have a ton of pressures. He had 4 pressures, 2 sacks. That was a big problem, a big shift for Aaron Rodgers. So dialing up this pressure, and by the way, it could also be Shaquille Barrett, but it was just happened to be JPP who really got the best of Billy Turner last week. So ultimately in this one, what are you going to do without Eric Fisher? Those adjustments are going to be a big key to whether or not they can repeat.
Yeah, let's remember that Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, was the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants when they played Tom Brady in 2007 and all those explosive plays. And he recognizes, he feels like he probably has some people that can get home with a 4-man rush, move Brady off his mark. And again, sound like a broken record. Don't give up the big play, because where Tom Brady has been brilliant, I'll play small ball, I'll run the ball. But the minute you give me an opportunity, and I'm going to get opportunities if you go man or if you go single high, and I'm going to get it to Godwin. I'm going to get it to Evans. I'm going to get it to Antonio Brown if he plays. Oh, by the way, let's throw in Gronk. So, yeah, kind of the same thing. Let's just don't give up the big play. If I'm Steve Spagnuolo, I'll make him go the distance. The difference is they can play two deep man. Tampa Bay can't play two deep man against Mahomes because he's going to run all over the place. Brady's not going anywhere. So they've got Spagnuolo's got another shot in his pistol, so to speak, to say, I can play a little bit more two deep man, protect those things down the field, double up and bracket, because obviously Brady's not going anywhere.
Whew. He sure isn't, Coach. All right, thank you both for that insight. I hope everybody was paying attention there. All right, Rams head coach Sean McVay was quick to acknowledge the team would be undergoing serious evaluation at all positions after the Rams' postseason defeat against the Packers. Those evaluations, though, usually start at quarterback. GM Les Snead said today, quote, Jared Goff is a Ram in this moment, and I said it's way too early to speculate. The future, it's a beautiful mystery. Matthew Stafford is set to become the latest Detroit Lions star to leave the club in his early 30s. Detroit is expected to trade Stafford this offseason. Former Lions running back and Hall of Famer Barry Sanders joined Good Morning Football today, and he said he understands why the Lions and Stafford agreed to part ways this offseason.
It sounds like both parties were at that point. It'll be tough to replace a guy like Matt Stafford, who's really, I feel like in a lot of ways carried the franchise for the last decade. Maybe because of the new regime coming in and just seeing things different. Things like this sometimes happen, and I know Matt has a lot of good football left in him.
There could be a couple quarterbacks on the move for multiple reasons this offseason. Here are just a few. As we mentioned, Stafford there likely to be out of Detroit. Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger could retire, and reports are Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston. Could Mitch Trubisky and Sam Darnold be out of Chicago and New York? And, of course, trade speculation is swirling in Green Bay and Los Angeles. And, Rob, I'll send it over to you and the guys for Players Only.
There you go, MJ. We're here for a little Players Only here with Coach Billick and D. Hall. So, guys, we're talking about quarterback leverage, right? How much leverage does a quarterback really have, right? D. Hall, I'm going to start this one off with you. How much leverage do NFL quarterbacks have in today's NFL?
Well, Rob, that's kind of a loaded question, right? Because it kind of depends who the quarterback is. I think you wouldn't have thought a guy like Carson Wentz could get a coach fired, and a coach that just won a Super Bowl for a city like Philadelphia. But that's happened. And on the reverse end of that, you look at Deshaun Watson, who has seen his number one receiver, who is an all-pro player, get traded away, has seen draft capital walk out the door to try to get his football team better. And then he saw a former team chaplain hired. He saw an interview process that really wasn't taken serious. And, he was supposed to be consulted. I think a lot of times as professional athletes, I know me personally, I'm a very loyal guy. As long as you keep it real with me, even if it's something I don't like, if you keep it real with me and you're honest, I can take that. Just like Deshaun Watson, they told him one thing, and now is a bridge that I don't know if they can get back across it.
Yeah, D. Hall, I don't know if that bridge can be crossed as well up there in Houston, and I think it's really, I think he just mistrusts the front office. Yeah. And then you talk about what's going on out there in Philly, man. Oh my goodness, man. I mean, you talk about Carson Wentz, 73 turnovers in 68 games, and you still pay him. See, I think it all starts from the pay scale, the pay market for our quarterbacks in the National Football League. I think the pay scale is broken. It just seems like whoever the next guy up gets the big money, and then it happens if the guy doesn't pan out, then you're stuck with a big contract, and owners and front office people are made to make some tough decisions. And you look at in Philly, I don't care what nobody say, they chose the quarterback over Doug Peterson. So, Coach, I want to bring you into this conversation. What's your thoughts on the leverage that quarterbacks have in today's National Football League?
Well, your best player and the player you're going to pay the most money to certainly is going to have a certain amount of leverage. The most leverage they had is that, and we're already seeing it as we go forward, particularly in a year where the cap may actually go down a little bit, is you're going to go to your biggest money player and you're going to go to bank Aaron Rodgers, you're going to go to bank Patrick Mahomes and say, look, can we convert some of your money into guaranteed money? That increases the cap space. You get more money up front. So, yeah, that does give you a little bit of leverage in that regard. But this is not the NBA. This is not where quarterbacks can say, okay, I want to dictate who you're going to draft. I want to dictate how you're going to use that money. I'll let you have a little bit of my money. You're going to have to guarantee a little bit more of it, and I hope you use it wisely.
Yeah, but Coach, wouldn't you say, too, as being a leader in that locker room, one of the voices, right, that's supposed to be duplicated from you as the head coach, I should be able to voice your message. And I probably got a pretty good pulse on what's going on in this locker room and what we need. I just think so much, too, about the whole Deshaun Watson situation. And, how do you get better? You're a football team who doesn't have a lot of draft capital, who doesn't have a lot of money. You paid your quarterback. In the midst of all of that, he still goes out and plays excellent football.
Balls out.
How do you rectify that?
Yeah, well, it's simple. You recognize, and for Deshaun Watson, obviously whoever the coach is going to be, and however they didn't consult him before, and that's a mistake. You give a guy $156 million, he's a partner. If you don't consult your partner, that's a mistake. But now the new coach will come in, the general manager say, look, here's our plan. This is what we're going to do. This is exactly how we're going to implement it. And again, I just can't, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, I just can't conceive that these teams are going to let these unbelievable talents leave the locker room, leave the team. It's just not going to happen.
MJ, we're going to send this one back on over to you. I think we're all in agreement that NFL quarterbacks today have a lot of leverage.
Thanks, M-Rob. All right, time to check out the nominees for the Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Year. Here are the nominees. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, Washington pass rusher Chase Young, Jaguars running back James Robinson, Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, and Vikings receiver Justin Jefferson. Go to NFL.com to vote. The winners will be announced during Super Bowl week. There's a couple of rookie running backs on that list that I'm sure are fans of Adrian Peterson. He is the latest guest on the Total Access The Locker Room podcast that drops tomorrow morning on Apple, Spotify, and all your favorite places to find podcasts. Remember, make sure to like and subscribe. AP talks with Michael Robinson and Brian Billick about why he's at his best when he's up against the best.
This week on Total Access The Locker Room. What's the mindset when you know you're going up against a top defense? You know during the week on Wednesday when we start game planning, and coach, you know this, the head coach is going to walk into the team meeting room, put 28 on the board and circle.
This is the guy we got to stop.
This is the guy we have to stop.
For me, I'm always like hyped up because I love going against the best, because I feel like, we can prove something like, okay, this is the best defense out there. We're going to run the ball down your throat.
Scan the QR code on the screen right now for the latest episode of Total Access, The Locker Room. Like us and subscribe. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
All this week, NFL Total Access is your official Super Bowl headquarters. Bucs and Chiefs, not the only ones game planning. Hall of Famer and veteran of 3 Super Bowls, Kurt Warner is too. Kurt will join us on Wednesday with the perfect plan for Brady and Mahomes. Then Thursday, we're going to help craft a perfect plan for next season. What NFL teams need to enter the arms race and trade for a new quarterback? But first, do the Bucs actually have more offensive firepower than the Chiefs? The stats say no. Why does M-Rob say yes? That's next on NFL Total Access.
NFL Network kicks off the week with exclusive interviews from Brady, Mahomes, and more.
We're ready to go, baby.
They are for real. Super Bowl 55 opening night, Monday at 8 on NFL Network.
We here, man. And Championship Sunday. Keep that camera on me, dog. Look where we at now. We want to go play at home next week. We like that.
We've been here.
My birthday today, man. Come on, help me to punch that ticket. One more to go. Job not done. We on the Tampa though. Hey, keep the camera on me, dog. I'm going crazy. For the city, I go crazy, man. That's what I do, man. Hey, we going back to the bowl, man.
Hey, way to ball. Don't you mean it.
Great plan, bro. Great season.
Yeah, way to go. Take care, man.
You too.
All right, time now for true or false. I'm Robin D'Angelo Hall. I'm going to throw out a statement. You guys tell me yay or nay, true or false. D Hall, I'm going to start with you. True or false? The Buccaneers' offensive weapons have more firepower than the Chiefs.
Oh, that's false. Are you kidding me? All that speed that Kansas City has, I think that's the equalizer right there. The individual talent aside, all that speed. They putting a track team out there, MJ. Not many people can keep up with all that speed. You can ask Carlton Davis about all that speed, man. I'll tell you what, speed is something that you can't coach in this league, and Kansas City has a plethora of speed.
Yeah, D Hall, you know, I see what you mean with Kansas City, right? But we got to make this a debate, right? So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Yeah, and they don't have Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy designing all those plays to create the leverage that gives them that leverage on other defense. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I'm going to go with Antonio Brown and Mike Evans and Mr. Slot and Chris Godwin, who just owns the slot. People talk about his hands. Tom Brady trusts him so much after he drops one, he throws it down the field again to him for an explosive play, and he went to one of the greatest universities out there, Penn State. Oh, my bad, I said that out loud. I was thinking that I didn't know we was on camera, but at the end of the day, when you look at Leonard Fournette catching the ball out of the backfield too, I gotta give the slight edge to Tampa Bay. Kansas City Chiefs fans, get off my Twitter before you even get there.
You also got to think about a little bit too, M-Rob, who's throwing these exceptional pass catchers and explosive guys to football. Anytime Patrick Mahomes is throwing the football,
my guy got
I tell you what,
Super Bowls.
Yeah, he got 6.
My guy got
I don't know if
6
he'll get 7.
Yeah.
He won't get 7 though.
6.
Yeah, to reference our colleague David Carr, who called Tyreek Hill a sports car and Travis Kelce basically a luxury sports utility. Give me the garage full of weapons there. Definitely the Chiefs. I'm in agreement with you, D Hall. All right, true or false? M-Rob, start us off here. Defense is better on the Bucs side than on the Chiefs.
Oh, man, just how D. Hall was so sure about the Kansas City Chiefs, having a better offensive weapons. That's how I feel about this defense. Man, Tampa Bay, they got a championship defense. I'm not so sure they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they got a Super Bowl winning defense, and it starts right there in the middle when Ndamukong Suh. Like, I used to hate playing against this guy, right? He was a little bit of a jerk, right? He really looked at you real hard, you know what I mean? He kind of scared you when you looked through the face mask. He was, bent up your face mask when you went by. But this dude is balling. He stops the run by himself. He has this kind of slow rush to him with mobile quarterbacks where, he pulls the double team, and then guys like Jason Pierre-Paul on the outside is freed up, who I saw get knocked down a few times, but he kept with that motor. So I got to give it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front.
Yeah, and Rob, I got to agree with you. In Kansas City, please don't be mad. I love some of the players you guys have, but when you look at what Tampa Bay puts on the football field, I think they got the best front 7 in all of football. Anytime, just like M-Rob said, Ndamukong Suh can rush. They got Vita Vea back. He's taking 2 bodies to block him. It just gives Shaq Barrett and JPP those one-on-ones, 3 sacks and 2 sacks respectfully. I mean, it allows you to drop everybody else in coverage. And then let's not talk about those linebackers, man. Devin Bush, my Steelers guy. I love him too. But Devin White and Levante David, I love those guys.
All right, listen, guys, I know we talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday, and we heard Sean McDermott say earlier that the Bills are going to have to gain a little bit more experience there. But in that game, can we give some respect to the Chiefs defense and how they were able to contain an offense that pretty much smoked everybody all season long? All right, guys, thanks. Next up, Mobile, Alabama is our next stop. It's the site of the 2021 Senior Bowl and the perfect place to do a little advanced. Senior Bowl will happen Saturday at 2:30 Eastern here on NFL Network. This year's practices and game are critical for scouts, with COVID-19 changing the way teams evaluate players like Alabama running back Najee Harris. For more on who stood out at practice, here's Andrew Siciliano, Daniel Jeremiah, and Bucky Brooks.
All right, one day in the books. A little bit of rain at the end, but overall a decent day of practice. Daniel Jeremiah, who stood out to you Tuesday in Mobile?
Well, nothing better than one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. And to me, watching Shi Smith, the wide receiver from South Carolina, in the one-on-ones, I thought he was outstanding. You saw the quickness. You saw the ability to separate, and then he just wanted to show off. He made the catch of the day, an unbelievable leaping grab, as good as it gets. You can't have a better first practice than what Shi Smith had today.
You know, DJ, staying outside on the perimeter. Let's go with Demetric Felton from UCLA. We have seen the impact that these perimeter playmakers have made in the National Football League. Think about Tyreek Hill. But now let's look at another guy from UCLA who was able to get it done as a hybrid. He goes on the outside today playing wide receiver after playing running back and is absolutely outstanding, explosive, quick, does a great job of creating separation. And you already can see him tease us with the explosiveness with the ball in his hands. He has a chance to really make some money this week with the way that he's performing.
Man, he was quick off the line today playing wide receiver. He says he models his game, or his favorite NFL player, rather, was Tavon Austin, who found himself in the first round when he came out of West Virginia. Maybe Demetric Felton makes some first-round money here. We are back at 8 o'clock Eastern time, coming up on Wednesday for day 2 and the Reese's Senior Bowl wrap-up show.
At the risk of sounding a little cheesy, the most dangerous team may be the team that has the most faith in each other. Roll your eyes all you want. We've got proof after the break on NFL.
All right, now Buffalo's got goal to go after the fumbled punt.
Hey! Oh! Hey! Look at me! Hey, look at me! Hey, we good. Be you. You gonna make a play this game. You gonna make a play this game. Let's go. Hey, be us. We get here. Be us.
And they're going to bring it on an end around to McCole Hardman. He's got plenty of room. He's at the 25-30. Road gear, 45-50. They block the next guy, 40-35. Andy Reid dials up the jet for 51. They throw it left side to Hardman on a wide receiver screen into the end zone. Touchdown!
Helping us to forget about that muff punt.
Hey, that's how you handle adversity. You smack it right in the mouth.
All right, get knocked down 9 times. Get up how many? 10. We love Patrick Mahomes. He showed his leadership right there in that moment. D-Hall, have you ever been in a situation like that, have to amp somebody up?
Well, always, MJ. You know, anytime, especially when you're a DB, you get beat, you got to come back from that, right? And so I'm always talking to young DBs, making sure they understand it's not about that play, it's about the next play.
Yeah, and that's the strength of the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember how many times they were behind last year, and they always came back. So no matter what happens in this Super Bowl game, they're okay. They'll support one another. Doesn't matter what happens, kickoffs, returns, interceptions. Hey, we're okay. We can get this back because we've done it before.
Yeah, Coach, and to me, that's a sign of a great program and a good coach, right? He muffed the punt. Next offensive possession, they found a way to get the ball back into his hands, and I think that's just a trait of a great organization, and it's not by surprise why they're going to their second straight Super Bowl. And I think Mecole Hardman, because of that experience, he